Hey brother! Jay, we have said it many times on this channel, but never, I repeat, never hire Voldemort to plan your wedding. I mean, you probably wouldn't anyway, as far as I gather. He doesn't really understand like the whole love thing, but you probably wouldn't anyway because, you know, he's dead. So there's that. But most specifically, you shouldn't hire him because he sucks at planning stuff. Was it really necessary for Harry to win the Triwizard Cup for him to kidnap him? It seems like there would have been easier ways to do it. But then again, the plan doesn't exactly go smoothly. So maybe the real issue is that we don't know his entire plan. But today, we think we have it figured out. Now, I say we, but I would like to give credit to Moranuel, who actually came up with a very similar theory that heavily inspired ours. I will put a link in the description to his full article. Okay, so to be fair to Voldemort, the fact that he pulled off anything at all is pretty dang miraculous. First, he sends Barty Crouch Jr., who has just spent over a decade in Azkaban prison, and then another year living under the Imperius Curse with his father to overpower none other than Mad-Eye Moody. You know, just Mad-Eye Moody, the insanely tough, battle-tested, war veteran, best Auror of his time, Mad-Eye Moody. Obvious target for a guy who hasn't practiced magic in like 15 years. Somehow that works though, and then his job is just to impersonate that guy for, you know, an entire year on the fly. Just impersonate a guy who has 2 major disabilities, missing an eye and a leg. How hard could it be to get used to that really quickly? And this isn't book canon, but for some reason in the movie, the Polyjuice Potion doesn't come with voices, so in that case he's also faking a voice for an entire year. But we go by book canon around here, so it doesn't really affect this argument at all. It's just one of these things that annoyed me and I needed to find a way to complain about it. But after that, all he has to do is, you know, bewitch a super powerful magical artifact, the Goblet of Fire, get Harry's name to come out of it, and then get him to the center of the maze first. By the way, he totally acts like Harry needs to actually like do well at the first 2 tasks, which he definitely doesn't. All that really matters to him in the end is that he touches the cup first. Harry actually has to compete in the tournament because of a binding magical contract. And Crouch just like zaps the other contestants while he's in the maze anyway, so what does it really matter where Harry stands at that point? And why do they leave the blast-ended screws out of the movie? It has nothing at all to do with this theory, but again, I needed a place to complain about it. But whatever, even if that's the plan, and even if that's a little convoluted, that's not even the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the Triwizard Cup. If you will recall, earlier in the book, J.K. Rowling sets up the idea of a port key when Harry and the Weasleys travel to the Quidditch World Cup, whose omission, by the way, from the movie is like even worse than the blast-ended screws, but hey, at least we got to see a giant wall of Krumm's face, right? That was sarcasm. I wasn't excited about that part. Anyway, when portkeys are first explained to us, it works a little bit like this. If you are touching a specific object at a specific time, you will be transported to a specific place. But alas, the Triwizard Cup, the portkey at the center of the maze, does not exactly follow these rules. It is basically just waiting for the first person to touch it. And according to Pottermore, this is actually how most portkeys work. Instead of needing to touch it at a specific time, it's more just for security purposes if there's tons of people heading to one location like the Quidditch World Cup. Either way, that's not what's weird about it. What is weird about it is the fact that it is enchanted to work twice and not back and forth from the same place. The first time Harry grabs it, he is transported to the graveyard, but the second time he grabs it, he's transported back to the school, but not to the center of the maze at the entrance of the maze. This is kind of interesting because it could suggest that the Triwizard Cup was intended to be a portkey the whole time. As in the Triwizard Tournament, aka the most boring spectator sport in all of history, would be the most boring at the most exciting moment, which is when somebody actually wins. So if you can imagine, cannon fires, contestants enter the maze, somewhere deep in the maze you can't see into, someone wins the tournament. Also would probably suck having to find your way like back out of the maze to show everyone your new fancy glowing cup. I have my own. No big deal. But if it was intended to be a portkey the whole time, it could be so much more exciting. Everyone enters the maze, someone finds the middle of the maze, and boom, there they are holding the cup right at the entrance of the maze. And the crowd goes wild! It would make sense, but doesn't yet explain how Voldemort's plan could have been a little more elaborate than what we saw. And besides that, even if that was the plan, Barty Crouch is the last person to handle the cup before Harry and Cedric touch it, so clearly he programmed it to go off twice. What gives? Why might Voldemort want to come back to Hogwarts? Because again, worst case scenario for Voldemort and his return is everyone learning that it happened, especially Dumbledore and people at the Ministry, all of whom are currently at Hogwarts. I mean, he must have wanted to send someone back then, though. But who? Maybe he would want to send Harry's body back to flaunt his victory? And yet, that's no good. For one, he keeps promising Nagini that she can eat Harry after he's killed him. And two, again, he wanted to return in secret. The fact that Harry is able to return and alert Dumbledore and Fudge that he's back is a huge problem for his plan, or at least it should be, except Fudge is the freaking worst. Maybe he wanted to bring his entirely newly formed body and his army back to Hogwarts and stage a surprise attack. But again, same problem. Wants to return in secret, not in front of Dumbledore. So why the return function if sending anyone back at all basically reveals your return and you fully plan on killing Harry? Because not sending Harry back is almost just as bad as revealing yourself. If Harry just disappears into the maze and never returns, maybe not everyone would figure it out, but I have a feeling Dumbledore would. And in any case, Harry is kind of famous, and I have a feeling the entire wizarding world would sort of be interested in wondering why he disappeared. So how do you kill Harry without anybody finding out that he's dead, and also not letting anyone know that you have returned? If only there was a way in the wizarding world to look like someone else. Oh yeah, wait.
Apologies, Persian.
The exact thing that your secret agent has been using all year to great effect. It's perfect, really. Nobody can see what's happening inside the maze because it's the worst spectator sport ever, and there's no time limit, so it doesn't matter how long it takes. Harry goes into the maze, touches the cup, gets murdered, someone takes a piece of his hair, returns to the front of the Triwizard Tournament exactly where it's supposed to end, looking exactly like Harry. And Nagini gets to enjoy a nice dinner, which actually sounds kind of delightful. Or morbid, maybe? I always get those confused. Now, Moraniel thinks that Voldemort himself would come back as Harry, and this is where we start to disagree. We don't think Voldemort quite wants to enter the fray yet. I mean, after all, he just got converted from being like a weird infant slug thing. Plus, there's no way that he could fool Ron, Hermione, and Dumbledore as a fake Harry, but you know who might be able to? The guy who literally lived with Ron, Harry, and Hermione as a rat for 3 years. Peter Pettigrew. Not only is he the best person for the job, but he is actually the one person that Voldemort absolutely knows is going to be in the graveyard with him and is one of his most trusted servants. And that is what I believe is Voldemort's true and complete plan, for Harry to absolutely arrive at the graveyard through the cup so that he is able to kill him and then return as an imposter and get whatever information or possibly even kill Dumbledore. That is, if Wormtail could get past Crookshanks, which I doubt. For my question of the day, what do you guys think? Does this help clear up a little bit of a plot hole? Was this Voldemort's complete plan? Please leave your thoughts in the towel section down below. Also guys, if you have not checked us out on Patreon, we have some very cool rewards that you might be able to gain some additional access to. For example, we have our blooper reels from every video every week that go live after a video is uploaded, and the show after the show where Jay and I sit down and basically talk about how we came up with an idea and what problems we might have had with it. We are actually going to be posting a show after the show directly to our Facebook page so you can take a look at it and see if you would like to join that reward level. But guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to see some more Harry Potter action from us, you can click right here to see magical contracts explained, or right here to find out Crookshanks' true owner. But Jay, that's all I've got for you today, man. I will see you on Tuesday.